Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for this new edition of Business Africa. On our show today we follow the progress of the cashew nuts business in West Africa and also that of the Fintech ecosystem. But first, let's get on with the show with our top stories today. Guinea is on the cashew farming bandwagon, a rush towards an expanding sector that relies on local production units.
It was in 2017 that I took the initiative to plant cashew nuts. I saw the potential of cashew nuts for a long time as they can provide us decent living.
Ancestral know-how fallen into disuse and a dynamic succession. How a Beninese designer brings indigo loincloth back to life.
The indigo currently in vogue was made in record time. It takes its place entirely.
The payment dilemma in Africa, a mission for Serge Boudda with his Diool platform, an architecture that is already attracting merchants in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala.
It's a new, more straightforward way to make payments more secure, faster, and of course with a completely new and simplified experience.
Cashew nuts production in West Africa increased by 5.4% last year with a total volume of 2.6 million tons. It must be said that the cultivation of cashew trees is particularly popular in the region, with star-producing countries such as Côte d'Ivoire, which represents 44% of Western African production, but also Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau. Something to envy their neighbours. In Guinea-Conakry, there's a rush towards this lucrative sector, which already supports 50,000 people and is moving towards local processing. A report by journalist Sayon Kourma.
From mining to agriculture, an unthinkable reconversion for this graduate of the Guinean Institute of Mines. Despite studying geomining 30 years ago, Mohammed never worked in the mining industry. And although Guinea has the largest bauxite reserves in the world, he preferred to focus on rice cultivation before discovering a sector considered to be a future driver for the national economy: cashew cultivation.
By the way, the mining engineer is called a destroyer, but the farmer is a land rehabilitator. After mining, we need to regenerate the land. Cashew is best suited for this. Today we have almost 30 hectares that have reached this maturity. And I'm not alone. Like me, we're now close to 650 people in the Farana region.
This sector is expanding rapidly in Guinea. 60% of the country's 33 prefectures now produce cashew nuts. This sector employs more than 60,000 producers, particularly in Bokeh, northwest of the country, as well as the Savannah region in Kankan. Among them is a trader who has also decided to diversify his agricultural production. Fode has profited from the lucrative cashew nut market for 2 decades.
I have been working in this sector for about 20 years, but it was in 2017 that I took the initiative to plant cashew nuts. I saw the potential of cashew nuts for a long time as they can provide us decent living. I thought, as I am a buyer, why not plant at the same time? Last year, each hectare produced 2 tons. So on around 10 hectares, it can go up to 20 tons. For years I was trading, but I didn't see the potential of these 20 tons.
In Guinea, annual cashew nut production is estimated at nearly 200,000 tons per season, and a ton of cashew nuts is sold for around $1,000 compared to only $30 to $40 for a ton of alumina. And Bokeh, where there are about 10 mining companies, remains the cashew nut production region by excellence. Guinea has embarked on an industrialization phase to create added value and avoid raw cashew exports. Here, the FAO, the Food and Agricultural Organization, is supporting the country in the construction of this processing unit.
We have problems selling our products. For example, if you take this year, we have had a lot of difficulties with the transfer and marketing for 10 years. Now, if we have this unit, it will allow us to shell and sell the finished product both locally and for export. And we can produce 800 kilos per day here in this unit.
The construction of this processing unit comes 4 years after the first industrial cashew processing plant was put into operation in Kankan, the country's second-largest city. The unit has a processing capacity of 10,000 tons of raw material per year. The products are destined for the world market.
And our products are really appreciated in Vietnam, India, China, the United States, just about everywhere in the world. You see, these are finished products that are there. And what makes Guinea proud on a national and international scale is, you see, this quality, WW210. It is one of the most expensive grades, the most expensive on an international scale. And Guinea has it. This is the first quality sought by customers.
These cashew nuts are an important source of revenue for Guinea. Over the last 3 years, the country's exports are estimated at 200,000 tons. This figure could increase thanks to the policy put in place by the Guinean state. But the authorities in Conakry want to focus on local processing.
Because the challenge is not to export the product and earn more money, but to process it locally. For this transformation to succeed, we must be able to regroup people in cooperatives, allowing us to make money, to develop partnerships to support these actors better. And this is how we can fight against poverty. For example, by helping women in the fields work better, supporting them better, and providing them with better tools.
Guinea has big ambitions as one of the top 7 cashew nut producers in the sub-region to get its share of the cake on a juicy world market, and why not, to compete with a regional leader. Côte d'Ivoire is at least the dream cherished in Conakry.
In the implementation plan of interprofessionals, it is foreseen that resource centers will be set up. Resource and research centers in each region that will, in principle, specialize in the development of the sector, in cultivation techniques, preservation techniques, and processing techniques to create more added value at the local level, and increase the productivity of Guinea and rank our country among the largest cashew-producing nations.
For Guinea to shine among the great nations and enable the country to market its cashew kernels on the African market, there is still room for progress. As for the time being, Guinean products are not exported to the rest of Africa and cannot benefit from the free trade agreement. This is why the 16th edition of the African Cashew Alliance's annual conference held this year in Abuja, Nigeria, recommended that marketing plans should be developed. The aim is to strengthen the commercialization of the African cashew industry. The continent now produces about 60% of the world's raw cashew nuts.
A delicate case of corruption hit Zambia. The senior official in charge of checking state finances has been arrested. Auditor General Dick Shishembe is indeed accused of offences committed between 2018 and 2021. The case falls to the worst for Zambia. As you know, the country is currently in full discussions with international creditors. The objective to restructure a $12.8 billion external debt after its 2020 sovereign default. All that glitters may not be gold, but Botswana is keen to make more money from its diamonds. The country has been immersed in negotiations with the South African diamond company De Beers for months, and the tension continues to mount as the president of Botswana, Mokgweetsi Masisi, puts it bluntly when he said his country wanted, I quote, a bigger share of our diamonds. In the line of sight, a rebalancing of the distribution of raw diamonds produced in the country to the advantage of Botswana, which currently receives only 25%. And we now put the spotlight on a beautiful color, indigo, and a forgotten clothing tradition. In the world of African textiles dominated by wax, a Beninese designer is bringing up to date an ancestral know-how. Nadia Ondele, that's her name, brings the indigo loincloth back to life thanks to new dyeing and drawing techniques. The result, fabrics and designs that are all the rage in the stores across the country and embodies the promotion of local consumption. This is a report by Didier Sogba. Take a look.
Nadia Ndale has dusted off and brought back to life the indigo-colored loincloth commonly called Eluvor in Ouida. Ouida is located 42 kilometers from Cotonou, the economic capital of Benin. Most of the indigo loincloths in Cotonou's most expensive sewing workshops and fashion boutiques come from there.
Indigo is one of the fabrics we knew in our childhood. And as I grew up, I realized that this textile was disappearing from our field of vision. And I thought, instead of letting it die, why not work on revitalizing this loincloth? Today we have brought indigo into the gala evening wardrobe. We have successfully brought indigo into the outfits you can wear to an international conference. We have brought indigo into the range of outfits artists, singers can proudly wear.
A real breakthrough for the promoter. Her struggle, which began in 2017, has finally found an echo among the biggest fashion houses in Cotonou. In any case, for the time being, the indigo loincloth is the clothing trend of the moment.
The indigo currently in vogue was made in record time. It takes its place entirely. When I see customers coming into my shop looking for an African piece, looking for the African style, asking what do you have, as soon as you present them with indigo, they say yes, that's interesting. Yes, that could do it for my event. More and more consumers have started to make a difference and are coming back to materials created entirely in Africa.
The indigo loincloth fashion house produces about 2,000 yards per month, tanks ranging from 2,000 to 6,000 liters to satisfy the high and growing demand. Eluvor is gaining more and more ground in the field of clothing style.
Comment je peux dire ça? Ça a été comme une...
How can I say this? It was like a revelation. My sister came one day and told me I would like to buy something from you. Can you offer an alternative, anything other than loincloths? I thought, why not indigo? So we bought some fabric and tried out some patterns. And so we started working on indigo, and I really saw the impact it had on the customers.
Nadia has the largest tank in the West African sub-region. The indigo loincloth fashion house employs over 20 Beninese women.
I wear the indigo loincloth with pride. I often say that each loincloth I wear means that more than a dozen people have worked behind it. Thanks to my purchase, I'm supporting many people, so I'm really proud to wear the indigo loincloth.
To support the promotion of this loincloth, many members of the Beninese government dressed with loincloth indigo.
What I am wearing, for example, is a collection in the color Indigo 2021. And our minister and members of the cabinet do not hesitate to wear indigo on different occasions. It's very nice. It has become very chic to wear indigo. The government has always supported it, even in an institutional way. We have been by her side when she organizes events, and we have upcoming projects together. We have plans with Nadia for 2023.
In recent years in West Africa, many initiatives have emerged to promote local consumption. These initiatives aim to curb the very high dependence on African countries on imported products, the volume of which is expected to increase by 2025 to nearly $110 billion, according to the African Development Bank. One of the solutions proposed by the experts is to exempt textile manufacturers for a certain time from customs duties and taxes on imports of production equipment and accessories that are not found in African countries.
Welcome to the second part of our show. Rising food and fuel prices at the pump are increasingly worrying Africans. The more distant impact that the Russian-Ukrainian war could have on the development of the continent and on donor priorities is also on the minds of political leaders. One of the few to speak out on this subject is the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame. He shared his feelings on the mindset of Africa's partners at a recent press conference. Let's listen to him.
To be honest, Africa or the African Union need to think about this very seriously and need to have, as a continent, a strategy and how to deal with many things originating from that situation. Africa is marginalized. It has no say at all, if I may say, as to what happens in that part of the world. It's the big players who it's Russia, it's Europe, it's Ukraine itself, it's the US, it's China. Whatever they are doing, some of which we understand, other things we don't understand. Africa is just there. I don't know how we can reform that. We are probably going to be hit hardest. Already, it's hard enough, it's difficult. The countries are beginning to experience hardships originating from the effects of that situation. And the partners we've been dealing with before this crisis, we have been dealing with them in a certain way, already which had its own flaws that we needed to address. But now that their minds are no longer with you, even 5%, their minds are now focused on that very situation you're talking about. Things are bound to certainly get worse.
The president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame. The shrinking dollar crisis in East Africa is now seriously affecting Kenya. The commercial banks are indeed short of dollar bills and have limited the purchases of their customers to $5,000 per day, which handicaps the country's importers. An illegal parallel market is developing, fueled by currency importing sectors such as the hotel industry and also by fuel shortages. At the origin of the scarcity of the dollar in Kenya, the repayment of the external debt and the efforts of the central bank to stabilize the fall of the shilling, the national currency. This is another step towards financial inclusion in Nigeria. The country's central bank is now requiring commercial banks to adopt a common standard for sharing customer information with third-party companies. These companies could be Fintech or e-commerce. It's about developing digital finance and boosting opportunities for Nigerians, many of whom are unbanked, for them to access loans more easily. And precisely, if central banks are taking a step towards digital in Africa, it is also because of the impressive expansion in the number of fintech startups, an increase of 81% between 2019 and 2021, an increase from 311 to 564. The funding is up to these ambitions. Example with Diool, this payments platform based in Cameroon raised 2.5 million euros in 2021. Our correspondent Abubakar Munchili has the story.
After working for a long time in France in the banking and finance sector, Serge Gupta, a Cameroonian from the diaspora, has returned to Africa to contribute to the continent's development. Faced with the difficulties that merchants encounter every day due to the multiple payments issued via a variety of mobile money services and cash or even checks, he and his associate have designed a solution to facilitate the procedures in these transactions with customers.
We have companies that are generally involved in payment aggregation. This means that with one machine or one phone, you can collect payments from MTN, Orange, within the same phone or the same platform.
D'un même téléphone ou d'une même plateforme. Donc nous, on a voulu pousser ça plus loin.
We wanted to push this further. As we tried to take it further, once you have collected from the various mobile operators, we allow you to use these funds directly to pay your network of providers.
Ces fonds, pardon, on vous permet d'utiliser directement ces fonds pour payer votre réseau de fournisseurs directement.
And at the end, once you have finished, you can bring back the funds to you.
Remonter les fonds vers vous.
Diool, a name taken from a West African dialect, is the fintech startup he co-founded to bring this innovative solution to these operators on the continent through a platform.
Le nom Diool est né.
Diool was born to represent a product to facilitate financial transactions.
Représenter un produit qui concerne les échanges financiers, et notamment les échanges financiers.
Particularly the financial transactions of merchants.
Une nouvelle façon plus simple de sécuriser ces paiements.
It's a new, more straightforward way to make payments more secure, faster, and of course with a completely new and simplified experience.
Simplifiée, nouvelle.
It is here in Douala, Cameroon, at the heart of the Bonapriso district, that he set up this company in 2015. He dreams of turning it into a vast continental empire. The platform and application he created allow merchants, among other things, to easily accept payments from their customers in a single account, any electronic payment, and to use these funds to pay suppliers or transfer funds. A real revolution in the field of electronic payment.
The fact that you don't handle money anymore, because handling money, as I say, all the time is delicate, even on the reliability of banknotes, because they can give you fake bills. At the end of the day, you realize that you're losing. You have lost a lot of money because you have counterfeited notes. With this solution, the risks are really minimized, because when you make dual transfers, the client makes the deposit, you initiate the payment, the client validates, so you receive the money instantly, and what is even better is that you can make the transfer from your phone to your bank account. So you don't necessarily have to keep the money on your phone, making all the payments more manageable.
Over the years, the number of business customers of this startup has grown. Past 6 years, more than 2,500 merchants have completed more than $120 million worth of transactions on its platform. In February 2021, Diool completed a $3.5 million fundraising operation. This will enable the company to meet the ever-increasing demand, attract new investors, and face the competition in the digital payment market in Cameroon and the Central African sub-region, with the interoperability now possible between bank and mobile accounts. This investment has made Diool one of the best-funded fintech startups in French-speaking Africa, opening up excellent prospects for conquering the rest of the continent with several strategies already in the pipeline.
We have some strategies that we're working on at the moment, but I think that the general idea is also to approach the large companies so that they bring in the small ones, because obviously we are in a market where sponsorship is valued.
Other important projects await this company, which wants to win the challenge of providing innovative services to a continent in the midst of a digital revolution. Among these challenges are the improvements of the platform's functionalities, as well as the international partnership agreements to be established with partner companies and financial institutions in the various African countries targeted. All this while respecting compliance with the various national regulations.
And that's it for today. Business Africa is over. I'll see you next week, same time, same channel for Initiative Africa. We'll host Sadibou Marong, the Africa Director of Reporters Without Borders, who will tell us about the situation of African media and journalists. In the meantime, you can watch this show on our website, africaonair.com, and follow us on all our social media channels. Feel free to share, like, and comment using the hashtag Business Africa. Have a great week, and until next time, goodbye.